get a really pretty tight beam, and she set that up for the single girl. And we didn't take the time to change that for the double. And what I would have done if we had just wanted to do that was take it and probably just put one for the two girls. Or
so that gives it a little bit more spill.
Gives it a wider spread. It would have been even across the two. Or even I've used this without any grids, just like this, and it's more like a snoot. And just like that is actually pretty nice too. It has a wider beam pattern. Might have been a little more, probably maybe cause a little bit of flare, but maybe we like that, right? We talked about that might be okay. Yeah, so that's a good question, and definitely if we were going to take a little more time, we don't have a whole lot of time left, and the grids would have fixed that.
Okay. Do you want to take a couple more questions? Or
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Tish has a quick question on using wide-angle lenses in portrait photography. I thought this was a no-no because of distortion.
Yes. What's a no-no, you guys? What makes a great photo? Whatever you like. Okay, so, but that's a really good question. When I use wide-angle lenses, what I try to do is to have my subject as close to the center and use the wide to tell a little story of the environment. You know, like we kind of did earlier here. Okay, she was fairly close to the center. There really isn't much distortion. This is also a pretty awesome lens. It doesn't distort a whole lot. But use the wide to tell a story and keep your subject pretty much close to the center. And a wide-angle lens can work great. And I've done a lot of portraits with my wide-angle. I love it, actually, for portraiture because you can see so much more. It has a different dramatic perspective. But you do have to be conscious of keeping the important body parts in the center. you guys know what I'm talking about, right? You don't want certain things going wonk, and that can definitely happen if she's off to the edge. So I just keep them away from the edge. And of course, if you like it like that, then it's totally fine. But
great, thank you. And you guys jump in whenever you have questions, okay?
Does anybody have any questions here?
He's doing such a good job.
I know, he really does. He's answering all of our questions.
Okay. How much more do you have to go today?
We can wrap.
Okay,
now.
cool.
Yeah, I think that's we're getting the sign that it's time to.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure that we weren't going to keep you from anything else that you had planned.
Good.
Where was this? C. Schonwalder was wondering on what it said. If you're at 1/128, the lowest possible power on the speed light here, and this was earlier this afternoon, why is there ever a need for bigger, more powerful lights on outside sets? There seems to be plenty of power available in higher settings of the speed lights.
Yeah, a lot of times there are, and we're in a very low light situation right here, which is why we could go down that far. When we step outside, which we're going to do tomorrow, it's going to be a different story. We're going to be at probably full power and maybe 2 speed lights to be able to balance with the sun. So that's when you'd use the 2. Or if I'm shooting, say we're doing a whole fashion series here, and she was going to be moving and dancing and shaking her booty stuff, and I'm going to be boom, 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 boom. That 1 speed light, I'd still put 2 on there so they could recycle instantly. So at 128 power, 2 speed lights would be like, I could shoot as fast as I want and keep up with her.
Okay, let's see. There's D in the chat room who says, I still don't fully understand the idea of auto ISO.
Ah, good.
Should we also be try changing ISO or lock ISO 200 when mixing flash with ambient?
Yes. In fact, on most cameras, the Nikons specifically, when you use flash, if you attach a speed light to the top of flash, it disables auto ISO anyway. If it's not disabled, for example, you've got it triggered from a PC sync terminal or something like that, then it's a good idea for you to turn it off yourself. And that's what I do. I turn auto ISO off whenever I'm going to be using flash, because auto ISO will get totally tripped up by a flash system. It just doesn't understand what's going on. And it's not made to work with flash. But auto ISO is great when you're outside in just natural light, and I use it all the time, especially on weddings. It has saved my butt a ton of times. You know, when you're running from inside, you're shooting inside a dark church, and you're at 1600 ISO, and then the bride runs outside, and you're chasing her, and you're outside getting to the car, and you realize you shot the whole outside at 3200 ISO or something because you forgot to change it. So I love auto ISO when I'm shooting natural light awesomeness. But when I'm shooting with flash, anytime I'm mixing flash or ambient light, turn the auto ISO off.
Question, in the lying down shot, did we need to lower the position of the speed light? The person noticed that we didn't. Why was that so?
We didn't because the light was evenly illuminating pretty much the whole panel. And if you remember, we did a check of the lighting pattern, and it was almost even. And then I zoom the head out just a little bit more to make sure that I was covering the full panel. And that way, your light source is the face. I don't have a panel here, but your light source is no longer the speed light. Your light source is now the panel. And once that panel is evenly illuminated, it really doesn't matter where in that area she is. Unless she's above it, then it's going to look kind of weird. But as long as she's anywhere within it, down to the ground, it's going to be essentially the same.
Okay. I have a question which I cannot find now, but quite a few people had asked how you deal with the scrims outside, like not flying away or in weather or things like that.
Yeah, assistants with strong arms.
Assistants
No.
with strong arms.
Yeah, Claire's nearly, my wife is kind of tiny, so she's blown away a couple of times, and fortunately we've retrieved her from the bushes and stuff like that, but you definitely have to have someone holding on to it when you're out in the wind, or throw some either camera bag. I've set up a little rig that or something if you're working in the wind. Yeah.
Okay, and that was from Michael Toll's photography from Atlanta. So.
Thanks, Michael. Good question.
I guess sort of relatedly, any possible other explanation? Amy Adams from earlier was wondering, what did Kevin do before he had assistants to hold all of his lights?
Interns.
Nice.
Seriously, I really don't understand why you would want to work without an assistant unless you're just a real introvert, you know. And I am an introvert. I could say there's times when I don't want to talk to anybody, which is not now. But having an assistant is like huge. And even when I didn't have, if I don't have my wife, Claire, to help me, I would have friends, I would have interns, I'd have somebody who is getting interested in photography. There's always somebody willing and wanting to help you. And you just got to put the word out there. Again, it comes back to asking. If you don't ask, you don't get anywhere, right? So put the word out. I put a post on my Facebook, or put a post even on Craigslist or something, and say, hey, photo assistant needed, pay, nothing, but you're going to learn a lot, you know? You'd be surprised. You're going to get people who will still come and help you out. You got to ask, and I think it's just so important to have an assistant to allow you to focus and to take at least half of the responsibility of moving and worrying about everything off of your brain. And it's really critical to your success is to have someone else there to help you when you can.
That's great.
Thank you.
So let's go with one final question from Selkie Photo. If affordable battery-powered monolight strobes, like I think the one that we're giving away, can outpower and recycle faster than similarly priced speedlights, then why invest in speedlights at all?
Good question. And in fact, a speedlight like an SB910 and this battery-powered strobe, actually, when the speedlight is zoomed, has the exact same power. And I measured these with my light meter, good use for your light meters, to test, and I've tested all my lights. I have an Alien B B800 studio strobe. A lot of people are familiar with that. It's a popular studio strobe. That's the same output as an SB900. That's pretty surprising. I surprised myself, you know, like when I fell out of bed that one morning and landed on my nose. I was very surprised. And I surprised when I measured and realized that the SB is the same power as a studio monolight. The advantage to these, one is the mega battery pack. So if you're doing extended shooting or you need to shoot really fast, they will recycle faster and last longer. But you can always change your AA batteries in the speed lights. The other reason these would be better if there's certain attachments you wanted to use, like this will take standard, I believe the Bowens type reflector. So I could attach this to beauty dishes, to big soft boxes, to all kinds of things with a standard studio connector. So that would be a good reason for it. But you'd have to have the good speed lights. You buy the off-brand speed lights, most of them won't have the power. They're going to be about a stop less than the latest Nikon or Canon speed light.
Cool.
Do you have a modeling light feature on the impact light?
This has a modeling light, but it's a brief modeling light. Like you touch a button and the modeling light stays on for like 15 seconds, I think, to save the battery. So it does give you that modeling light, which is also one nice thing. You can fake a modeling light with the speed lights with their stroboscopic modeling light. Kind of works the same way. This is a constant light that goes on, but again, it's not bright enough to really be an effective judge of the actual light, but it does give you a sense of the direction of the light, such like that.
Thank you. Any final questions for Kevin before we wrap for the day? Thank you, everyone, for all of your great questions, and we will continue to answer those questions. This is what makes Creative Live great, that we can interact with Kevin from the comfort of your own home. So keep the questions coming. But that's all for today.
Yeah, no more today.
Not today, but keep them coming. And I just want to read a quote here from J.C. Bellarosa, who says, "Thank you, Kevin. So far, this is so incredibly helpful. I'm really enjoying your method of teaching, and thank you so much for doing this."
Awesome. Thank you. Yay.
Thank you.
Cool.